All right, 7th graders, this is going to help you get ready for Tuesday's quiz. Your teachers and I have talked, and we said for some students it might be helpful the way we do our CR helpers to also, when you're getting ready to take larger quizzes or tests, to provide these videos to help you prepare for the test. We do similar problems with the same underlying structure, just to preset you. What is that test going to look like in case you're a student who gets anxious? And then hopefully you can translate the knowledge over to your test questions. All right, so let's take a look and walk through some of these. It says, number 1, write an expression equivalent to the given expression. Be sure to write your answer in simplest form. Okay, well, when you have a number outside a set of parentheses, I know I need to distribute that number through the parentheses, or I need to multiply that number through the parentheses. And then here again, I have this beautiful positive 3 outside my second set of parentheses. So I need to go ahead and distribute that positive 3 through my second set of parentheses. So let's do this. So when I distribute, it means to multiply through. 5 times x is 5x plus 5 times 2 is 10. Now I'm going to distribute this positive 3. Positive 3 times x is positive 3x, so I write plus 3x. Then I have positive 3 times positive 6, positive times a positive, that would be a positive 18. And so our first step was to distribute. Our second step will be to combine like terms. So the first thing we did was distribute. And our second step is to combine like terms. So that's what I'm going to do next. And sometimes I know both teams use X's and No's charts to just help you organize. So I'll do an X's and No's chart over here. So for my x's, I take a look and I say, okay, I have a 5x and I have a positive 3x. So I, in my chart, would do 5x, positive 3x. And then for my numbers, my constants, I have a 10 and I have a positive 18. Okay, now I'm going to just combine these like terms. 5x and 3x, if I have 5x and 3x, I have 8x. If I have 10 and 18, I have a 28. It's a positive 28, so my final answer is 8x plus 28. You can't put those terms together. They're not like terms, and that's when you know you're in simplest form. When you look and you say, okay, I've collected all my x's together, I've collected all my constants together, not like terms, I'm done. Let's go ahead and move on to question number 2. It says, an expression is shown below. You're going to be just simplifying expressions all over this quiz, I bet. Write an expression equivalent to the given expression. Be sure to write your answer in simplest form. Okay, as soon as I see a number outside a set of parentheses, I know I'm going to distribute, which means to multiply through the parentheses. All right, so let's just go ahead and do that. So I'm going to take this negative 16, which is out in front of my set of parentheses. I'm going to multiply it through to each term within. And for this one, I'm going to write an intermediate step. You don't have to write this intermediate step, but I'm going to. Negative 16 times 1/2 x. So that's negative 16 times 1/2 x. And then I have a minus 3 here. So this is going to be minus 16 times the negative 3. Do you see here I have 2 minus signs? That's why I have two minus signs here. Some of you may have already jumped to a negative times a negative is a positive, and I'll get there in a moment. But I wanted to write it out in case you need to see how we distribute. So I have to do negative 16 times 1/2. Well, what's half of 16? Oh, half of 16 is 8. Half of 16 is 8. All right. So half of 16 is 8. A negative times a positive is a negative. And I don't lose my x. I keep my x. Here, what's a negative times a negative? A negative times a negative is a positive. Some of you already got there from this step. Minus a negative became a positive. So you may not have even written both negatives. You may have jumped right to a positive sign there. Minus a negative becomes a positive. Okay, now I have to do 16 times 3. I didn't bring a calculator home. 3 times 6 is 18. 3, so I put down an 8, carry 1. 3 times 1 is 3, and 1 more is 4. So negative 8x plus 48. Then I look here, and I say to myself, are there any more like terms? There are no like terms, and that's how I know I'm at my final answer. I cannot combine x's and constants. Let's move to number 3. Write an expression equivalent to the given expression. Be sure to write your answer in simplest form. So again, I'm guessing that this quiz is testing, do you understand the distributive property? And can you combine like terms? Because we're on question 3, and it's the same skill. So let's keep rolling. So first of all, I'm going to distribute a negative 7 through the first set of parentheses. Negative 7 times x is negative 7x. Here I have negative times a positive. A negative times a positive will get us a minus. Some of you say, I'd rather write that as plus a negative 7 times 3. I have no issue with that. Off to the side, if you did, kept your plus sign and did negative 7 times 3. Well, negative times a positive is a negative, so that would be negative 21. So then you'd have plus a negative 21 plus a negative does become, those double signs does become minus 21. So I just wanted to show you, this is the process some of you might have to go through. You might have to say minus, and then 7 times 3 is 21. But this might be the process some of you have to see. Now I'm going to distribute a negative 1/2 through. So I'm going to multiply a negative 1/2 through. So this is some of my scrap work off to the side. So negative 1/2 times 8x. All right. So if I have half of 8 is 4. Negative times a positive, that gets me a minus 1/2 of 8 is 4, so that would be 4x. Here, negative times a negative, I'm multiplying through those parentheses. Negative times a negative is a positive. Half of 12 is 6. And there's probably a good chance even on your tests they're going to probably do lots of like what's half of something, because even if you're not as comfortable multiplying fractions, a lot of times we can rationalize or think through what half of 12 would be. All right, now I'm going to combine like terms. So your teachers probably have you do your X's and no's. So I can do that right here. X's and no's chart. So for my x's, I see I have minus 7x, minus 4x, minus 7x, minus 4x. Signs are the same. I'll find the sum. I'll keep the sign. Signs are the same. I'll find the sum. I'll add them. I'll keep the sign. 7 and 4 is 11. So that's 11x. But they were both negative. It's still negative 11x. If I started at negative 7 on the number line, I moved 4 to the left, I'd be at negative 11 on the number line. So I know for my x's, that's negative 11x. I then have to combine my constants. So I put those in my nose portion of my chart. Negative 21 plus 6. Signs are different. I'll find the difference. I'll keep what I have more of. Definitely have more negatives, so I'm going to keep a minus sign. And now I have to subtract. If I take 6 from 21, I believe I end up with a 15. Right? Borrow from the 2. 2 becomes a 1. 11 minus 6 is 5. So then I have negative 11x minus 15. I look, I say, okay, I no longer have any like terms. These are my x's. These are my constants. That's my final answer. Let's keep going. Let's try number 4. Write an expression equivalent to the given expression. Be sure to write your answer in simplest form. All right. It's very similar to the question above, except we don't even have to worry about any fractions here. So step 1, to clear those parentheses, distribute. Step 2, combine like terms. So first of all, I'm going to distribute a negative 4 through the first set of parentheses. Negative 4 times 2y, a negative times a positive, that would be a negative 8y. Minus a negative, here I have minus a negative, becomes plus. Minus a negative becomes plus. 4 times 3x is 12x. So I've cleared out that first set of parentheses, so now I'm going to clear the second set of parentheses. I'm going to multiply a positive 3 through the second set. 3 times 7x. 3 times 7 is 21x. Positive times a positive, that's a positive 21x, or plus 21x. Here I have plus a negative becomes a minus. You can think of it as positive times a negative is a negative. 3 times 8 is 24. And do not lose that y. You must still have your y. Now I'm going to go ahead and combine like terms. So my chart now actually has y's and x's. So I have negative 8y minus 24y. I have to combine my y's. Keep in mind, you got to take the sign in front of that term and bring it with you. Signs are the same. Let's find the sum and keep the sign. 24 and 8. Is that 32? 32y. Signs are the same. Find the sum, keep the sign. If I was at negative 8 on a number line and I moved 24 to the left, I'd be at negative 32 on the number line. Now let's combine our x's. We have a 12x, we have a 21x, we have a 12x, we have a 21x. They're both positives, so I'm going to go ahead and just add those up. Keep my x. 12 and 21. 2 and 1 is 3. 1 and 2 is 3. So that's plus 33x. So your final answer is negative 32y. Plus 33x. Negative 32y plus 33x. Can't combine your y's with your x's. Those are not like terms. You know you are done. I hope that helps. I'm going to make a second video to review the rest of the problems.